Hello, welcome to Mrs. Real Ale Guide. I've got a special guest today and we're going to do an interview. Hello Chad, ChadzBeerReviews.
All right.
Hey, lovely t-shirt. And
Yep.
I've also got you know, him.
Yeah.
Him, I'm here again.
Real Ale Guide, thank you for joining me. We're going to do a few questions for Chad today. We've just done a London Pride, Fuller's London Pride review, and followed by an interview, which was good. Really good interviewing skills you've got there, Chad. Honestly,
Hey.
Don't for 1 minute think that this is going to be as good as yours, because it won't. So I suppose my first question would be, when did you first think of enjoying or reviewing beer?
Um, when did I first? Uh, it's such a long story. Long story. I'll try to make it as very, very quick. Okay. In high school, this is back in the '90s. I started writing movie reviews, and then I graduated high school, went to college. I love movies. Was doing movie reviews, just written reviews. Then I was in the Navy for about 6.5 years, and I got out, and I wanted to go back to doing the reviews again, but I got so sick of movies at that point, and I was like, I need to find something else to review, because I always just like reviewing stuff. So I was like, okay, I always like beer, so I'll try to write a beer review. I don't really know what I'm talking about, but I'll just try to do it as best as I can do it. And this is back in like the spring of 2008, and I just did it like as best as I could do it, just describing what I taste and what how it drinks and how what if I like it or not.
Yeah.
And and then I just kind of I did that for about 4 or 5, 6 months, and I wasn't really getting the traffic or the hits or the attention or whatever that I thought that I should get or wanted to get. And this is when YouTube was kind of getting popular, and I looked on YouTube and I did, search beer reviews or whatever, and there was only like two people, and I was just like, well, if nobody else is doing it on beer, I know YouTube's going to be here forever. I'm going to get on board now,
Yeah.
strike while the iron's hot, I guess.
Yeah.
Actually, the iron was cold and it became hot. Now it's hot. Um, and, so in fact, actually next Tuesday will be my 3-year anniversary on YouTube.
Wow.
So, yeah, that's a very long story, as quick as possible.
That's good.
Without the written part, that's kind of my story as well. Like nearly 2 years ago now, I looked up British beers and there was nobody doing it, and there was a couple of Americans, including yourself, doing a couple of beer reviews, and exactly the same thing. And I'd like to ask a question now, which I didn't ask in my original interview. How scary was it for you to actually, when the record button was being pressed for the first time on your beer review, and how did it affect your mannerisms, everything that happened when you press the record button? Can you explain that?
It wasn't scary. It was just kind of like, it was more like, I don't know what I'm doing, so I'm just gonna do it. Like if you watch the first review or the whole first season, quote unquote, I'm just kind of like, I don't know what I'm just like, yeah, tastes like beer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks for watching. Bye.
Yeah. Yeah, kind of the same for me. And you kind of try and wing it, don't you, for a while, and then all of a sudden things just come
Yeah.
in and they happen.
Well, I would say that, I just kept, trying to learn more and more about beer, just like going on Beer Advocate and Rate Beer, buying books about beer, and drinking helps a lot too. Going to the beer store, talking to the guys who work there, because you start out like with anything, you don't really have much of a frame of reference, and like there's just like your frame of reference is like a bucket in the ocean.
Yeah.
And so you just have to just keep and absorbing more and more. And I think for the first couple years, like my knowledge would like double like every 6 months. And like, I still, even after all these years, 3 years later, it's like I still kind of think of myself as a babe in the woods, like I definitely know more than say like somebody like my dad or his friends or, the frat boys in college who just think of beer as, for its performance value. It's like it's just physio stuff you drink to get drunk,
Yeah.
because I don't want, and it's cheap, and I'm just like, well, did you know that like there's this whole other section of like refined craft beer of like where people actually drink it for taste, and people are like, what? Beer for taste?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And do you have a particular favourite type of beer?
Um, for the longest time there, I'd always consider myself like a hophead. Like I love IPAs, pale ales, but I've kind of grown over since then, and I still love IPAs and pale ales and any kind of hoppy beer really, but I find myself liking like everything now. It's like I like not well, like stouts, imperial stouts.
Yeah.
A lot of the Belgian beers, like it took me a long time to warm up to Belgian type beers. German wheat beers, love them. Pumpkin beers, love those.
Yeah.
Um, yes, I mean, like to kind of steal a line from Kevin at the Foaming Head is like I kind of appreciate all styles of beer. If it's all things being equal, like if I walk into Mahar's and have that whole list to choose from, I probably would go for an IPA first,
Mm.
but it'd either be an IPA or a stout first, because those are like the two tastiest kinds of beers. Or, I mean, a lot of it depends on mood too, of what you're in the mood for.
Can I just ask a question? Talking about hops now, there seems
Sure.
to be this whole. Every single brewery in the UK now are really making hoppy beers.
Yeah.
Wherever I go, everybody's like, try this really, really hoppy beer. And I have been doing that, but there's also a part of me which says this whole hop thing might burn itself out. Everybody might turn to these big hoppy beers,
Right.
and there
You
is
don't
a
want
phrase
a
for
fa-
it, isn't it? There is a phrase for that, isn't there?
Yeah, like a fad, yeah.
It
I mean, I can't speak for the English or European culture as a whole, but I don't think like hoppy beers are a fad. I think like extreme beers or like experimental beers, like right now, like black IPAs
yeah,
is the big hip trendy beer. And I don't, as much as I love regular IPAs, like black IPAs are just kind of like to me, I'm just like I don't really get the appeal.
yeah,
And like I kind of like them. I kind of approach black IPAs like I do with barley wine. Like I didn't like a barley wine is never the first beer I want to drink, but every time I have a barley wine, I like it.
yeah,
But it's like you have to like have your mental focus ready for that kind of beer at that time and that place. Um, yeah, I mean, I know you're coming from. I don't think hops or overly hoppy beers, like if you just take any kind of beer and add more hops is going to make it better. Like, Mel and I did the Fuller's London Pride. If tomorrow they came out with a advertising campaign that said Fuller's London Pride now with more hops,
yeah,
that would kind of worry me because because then it's like, hey, we're jumping on this bandwagon.
yeah, yeah,
But instead of, something like that that would have me concerned it's like too faddish. But if they said, Fuller's American style IPA, that would be pretty cool.
But jumping on the word bandwagon, I don't know what it's like over there at the moment, but here it seems that large companies want to start to market their beers at women in particular. For example, the
Anime.
beer range. Is there anything like that going on in the US at the moment?
Sort of, but you don't really hear much about it. Like it's a beer literally called chick beer. It was like
oh no,
it was designed by a woman, and I'll email you the link.
Yeah,
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 absolutely.
because what
Basically, like this woman, like she saw, she's like, I went to the beer store or the supermarket, and there was no beers with pink labels on it. So, so she quote unquote designed this beer, and if you watch this video, all she did was just make Bud Light with a pink label on it.
sounds quite similar actually.
Yeah.
But like,
And
it's,
yeah, and like and there was like the Moonshot 69. It was just basically Bud Light with caffeine in it. Um, and
yes.
I mean, as far as women specifically, I'm trying to, I can't really think of any campaigns or beers that are like aimed at women exactly like the anime was, but there's just those kind of American style beers, especially the fruity wheat beers. Any beer with
Yeah.
blueberry or raspberry
Yes.
or pomegranate or something in it, they're definitely female
Yeah,
friendly.
absolutely. I
And
agree.
like if I bring a girl to Mahar's, like that's probably the first one she might go for. But I don't know if they're like specifically aimed at women or that they just happen to be female friendly,
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you take offence, Chad, when companies bring out purposefully like, uh, like basically
Clear
that
bottle.
tastes like banana, them
Sweets.
banana sweets you get, and it says here there's all sorts of additives in this beer.
No, it
Yeah.
says there's been
Do you-
banana flavour.
Yeah, there's all sorts of flavourings in there. Do you take offence to that, Chad? Where, I mean, they're trying to bend the kind of rules to make this banana flavour, which I don't know. Some people, I'm asking
So,
the question.
Basically, to shorten the question, do you think that it's right that they should add anything
Other than-
artificial,
Yeah,
anything artificial to a beer?
I'm okay with that because if you look back on history of brewing, like the Belgians, they've been using fruit in brewing for centuries. The framboise, like the lambics, which I don't think either of you guys have reviewed. You need to go out and get a lambic.
yeah.
I don't have any problem with breweries using fruit in the beer or artificial flavors. I mean, look at one of my all-time favorite beers is made with chocolate.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
It tastes
yeah.
like liquid chocolate.
Yeah.
If the result is, it kind of depends on the what their goal is and who like what their like I was just saying, like the fruity wheat beers, they're going after women, they're going after like yuppies, they're going after like college kids.
Yeah, yeah.
And a lot of those beers, like I can drink them and they just like, it's like it tastes artificial to me. But like you compare that to like a Belgian framboise, which is literally made with real raspberries, and it tastes really, it's night and day. The difference is,
Yeah.
if the end result is a good beer, like in the case of the Wells Banana Bread beer, I've had that beer, and it's okay. I don't think it's like, I mean, you can call it gimmicky. Or maybe it's genuine, like they really wanted to make a beer with literally made with bananas, because
Yeah.
it's definitely original. I can't think of any other beer that is brewed with bananas.
Yeah.
Like the German Hefeweizens, which I think you just got a couple of them.
Yes.
They, because of the way that they're brewed, the yeast that they use, they have a banana-like taste to them, but
Yes.
they're not literally brewed with bananas.
No.
Yeah, so I mean, like, there's no such thing. There's really no such thing as a gimmicky beer. It's more just like gimmicky marketing because,
Yeah.
like, I could show you like Stone and Dogfish Head. Like they make very gimmicky beers.
Yeah.
But I mean, they make really good gimmicky beers.
Yes.
So,
That's my point. My point is, because there's some people in the UK that think that real ale has to be real ale. It has to be made with yeast and
right.
and corn and everything else, malts and hops. I actually like the flavour of the banana bread beer. I agree with what you're saying. Like if you were to buy any type of food, a lot of foods have got additives in, artificial flavourings, but people actually like it. So just to finish on this,
Right.
yeah, I actually agree with what you're saying.
Yeah.
It sounds like like I'm not like the Reinheitsgebot, the German purity law that says beer can only be made with water, hops, yeast, and barley.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm not a slave to that. Like, you can do wondrous things with just those four ingredients. Four. I'm like holding up eight here. Yeah, you can do great things with just those four ingredients, but I'm not like a purist Nazi that says no fifth ingredient or sixth or seventh, because you can do wonderful things with fifth, sixth, and seventh ingredients. You can do horrible things with those two, and you can do horrible things with just the four ingredients too.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. And let's be honest, we don't all live down that line when we eat our food. I don't buy particularly organic, and I don't buy things without certain colours in. The chances are I don't look at that, I look at what I'm buying and what I like and what tastes good.
Mm.
So, we're like, any more questions you've got for Chad?
I think we're gonna do an interview again, like a Chad and Simon 2011 interview. So I want to hold back on a lot of the questions I got for Chad, but one last question.
Yeah.
What are you drinking tonight?
I have a 6-pack of Saranac Pumpkin Ale in the fridge
Awesome.
because it's October. I mean, like, it's not Southern Tier Pumpkin, but it's a nice kind of sessionable for this kind of time of the year. Like tomorrow's Sunday, right? Tomorrow, my dad and my brother are gonna come over. We're gonna watch football for like 8 hours straight.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Awesome.
we'll have like a pumpkin beer, and it's not, it's tasty and it's not too heavy. Maybe for dinner I'll have like an IPA or a strong stout or something like that.
Nice.
Lovely.
Yeah. And one last question. Did you watch Wales beat Ireland today in the rugby? The Rugby World Cup.
If I went to the Ruck, which is, I guess, it's something to do with rugby. The guy who owns that bar is a rugby coach, and the Ruck is some kind of rugby term.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I never really. That's funny because like rugby and cricket are like the European versions of our football and baseball.
Yeah.
Which in America we take stuff from other countries and make it better. So I never been able to get into rugby or cricket. I don't get it. But maybe if I spend some time there and I learn the rule, like I don't get soccer or what you call football either. Like that was fun as a kid, but as an adult it's like very boring.
Yeah.
I love hockey though, which is essentially the same game but on ice.
Yeah, absolutely.
But Mel have more questions? This is supposed to be her interview.
Yeah.
Go on. Finish.
Well-
Anything you've always wondered?
To be honest, no. If I'm completely honest, I didn't expect to be doing the interview with you tonight. I thought it was the interview with me, so I haven't prepared any questions, which is
Right.
quite useless, really. I suppose this week I've had a few malicious comments on some of my profiles on the internet. Have you ever come across that kind of thing, Chad? And
how do you deal with it?
If you have, what's your advice on what you're supposed to do about it?
Yeah, I mean, whenever you're dealing with opinions of anything, really, you'd be surprised at how people take their opinions and views on things. I think you either have to have a degree in sociology or psychology to like really understand it. But I mean, it does fascinate me that people would take beer as serious as they would take religion or politics. Although with it being the internet and being able to hide behind the cloak of anonymity, is that anybody can say anything, and because there's no reprieve or reprisal or whatever, there's no, like in real life, face to face, it's not the same as on the internet. People have balls of steel on the internet. So I mean, it's just a natural human emotion to when somebody not only disagrees with you but tries to attack you personally, to be offended by it, even though you don't know who this person is. there's no reason for you to respect them or their opinions, but it's just, when somebody doesn't like you, it's just a natural human emotion to be like, why don't they like me?
Yeah.
What did I ever do to them? It does take a while to build up that kind of tolerance to that, and then you eventually reach a point like where I'm at now, where like it just bounces right off you, and it's almost comical in a way of just like it's just, and then it gets past that where you actually start to pity these people, of like, really, wow, they have nothing else going on in their lives that they
Yeah.
become that sensational over something as trivial as beer. I mean, I get why people would get that kind of emotional and that kind of response about politics and religion. As like politics affects our real lives, and religion is, well, obvious reasons, but that people get that hung up on differences of opinion, or not even so much differences of opinion of just like, I know more than you, so, and
Yes.
you're an idiot, and it's just kind of like, well, instead of being that, why don't you be like a teacher and say, hey, you're on the right track, but you
Yeah.
need to consider this,
Why
this,
not
and this, or
enlighten
something like
them?
that. So, you know,
Yeah, I agree.
you live and learn. That's what it comes down to.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm going to wrap that up today, Chad. That's all right with you? Is that all right with you?
Thank you, Chad.
Yeah. So
Yep.
thank
Thanks for
you.
having me.
Do you
Yeah,
want to give
thank you.
your links to your channels and
Yes.
your profiles?
Yeah, I have two YouTube channels. YouTube.com/Chad976 is where I do anything that's not a beer review, energy drinks, sodas, vlogs, travel things, whatever. And then YouTube.com/Chads with the Z beer reviews is just straight up beer reviews. Um, Twitter.com/Chad976, my personal Twitter of whatever I have on my mind at that particular moment. A lot of it's beer related, a lot of it's political and comical and things like that. And if you want to be a fan of the show on Facebook, it's facebook.com/ChadzBeerReviews. That's it. Oh, and ChadzBeerReviews.com.
Excellent. Okay. Well, thank
That's
you,
it
Chad.
there.
Yeah. Lovely t-shirt. Okay, then let's call it a night.
Yeah.
Thank
Yep.
you.
Cheers, Chad.
Thanks for having me. Bye.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.